Facebook and Zoom and everything internet related is a tiny bit slow at the moment, and things take a while and we get a lot of buffering circles, but I think I'm here and I think we're going. I've got a lot that I want to speak about, so I'll kind of start the ramble in about 3 minutes time, let people get onto the live and get in the zone with us. Yes, it is weird at the moment, but we've got to adapt to our new norm, and that's what we're going to be talking about a lot today for you benchmark members. I'm also going to be recording this on a video for some other media stuff I'm doing, so if I kind of stop or press a few buttons and stuff, then that'll be why. But hopefully we can get some really good high quality information out today, help everyone and get people focused, or maintain focus, maintain motivation, maintain a healthy lifestyle, which is obviously really, really important at a time like this. I'm recording this 30 in the morning, so I'm assuming, there's still a lot of people going to work, obviously from home and stuff. So don't know how people will be on this live. So we'll see. Benchmark members, if you're joining this and you're getting involved in the Q&A, then do ask questions, do post, do get involved in the conversation, because ultimately, if you want me to help you in the biggest way possible, then you want to keep asking questions. And when we talk about questions, it's important to ask as specific a question as possible. So people ask questions like, oh, I need help with motivation, I need help to stop snacking. Like, see if you can do some work finding out why you feel you're unmotivated or why you feel you're snacking too much before you ask the question. When you seek the advice of a coach, a mentor, a guide, the most specific questions get the most specific answers, which means it will be more relevant. So if you say to me, oh, Ben, I feel unmotivated, and I start going off on ramble about motivation, it might not be relevant to why you're experiencing low levels of motivation, because you haven't fully identified why yet you've got low levels of motivation. So asking yourselves critical questions and doing a little bit of work on yourself before asking the advice of a coach, for me, is actually really, really important, because otherwise you get crappy answers. People ask me all the time online, Ben, can I have some to eat better? Like, so what is the root cause of not eating? Is it work? Is it home? Is it family? Is it all being organized? Is it, getting up too late? Is it that you don't know what to eat? There's just so many reasons why our problems exist, and getting to the root cause of the problem is super, super, super. So if we look at sort of where most of us are at the moment, we want to be more motivated. We want to snack less. We want to keep up our energy output. We've got kids, at home that need homeschooling and stuff. There's lots of stuff going on. And today I'm going to try and cover all of that and help you as much as humanly possible. So we're at the 3 minute mark. I'm going to start. I'm going to go off on a big kind of ramble, and we'll see where we end up, and we'll see what questions have been created off the back of it. But I'm just going to bring up some questions that I've got, because that is going to act as my benchmark today, and kind of give the format of this, and then I'll kind of get going. So lockdown has happened and we're all trying to be fit and healthy. Some of us are snacking too much. Some of us are experiencing low levels of motivation. Some of us are not able to exercise as much. Some of us have got kids at home. Some of us have lost our jobs. Some of us are furloughed. Some people are finding they're getting into bad habits. We're maybe drinking too much at night. There's lots of habits that have creeped in. Some anxiety has creeped in. And I want to get people to as good a place as humanly possible. So I'm going to cover a lot today. I did a couple of polls on Facebook, and the same stuff coming up. So big general topics that I'm going to go over, and then I've specific stuff. And I want to add as much context as possible to try and pick up on all the different nuances and the problems that people have. So this is going to be a big video, a big podcast. Like, I'm not going to lie, we're going to be covering an awful lot of information. So kind of lock down, to use that phrase. So first and foremost, kind of looking at the top, a really broad view of this is how I'm approaching my own down. Use myself as an example. So a bit of context first. So lockdown for us happened like 4 weeks ago, right? 3 weeks ago, we had our first child. I run a business from home. I have about 7 members of full-time staff. We're not allowed to do anything for 12 weeks. We're in self-isolation for 2 weeks, despite what happens with the lockdown, because we've got a baby and they've advised you to keep the kind of baby protected and stuff. We've had bad news within the family. Yes, it is really a pandemic. And the reason why I paint a bit of a picture is I'm not trying to make my problems any better or worse than other people. Everyone's got their own stuff that's going on. It's really bad. For some people, it's kind of manageable, and some people, it's kind of just a bit off normal. So I'm not going to assume anything with this ramble. I'm not going to say this is how things, this is how you should be living your life right now. I'm just going to try and look at this from a really broad bird's eye view, because problems are problems, and ultimately we choose to find coping mechanisms and ways to deal with it, or we decide to let these problems crush us. So what that leads me to say is, what is your new normal? Because I've seen an awful lot of comments saying, I'm living in the unknown. I'm living in what's going to happen in the future. I'm wondering when lockdown will finish. I flipped that on its head and I've said, this is my new normal. Until I know otherwise, my current situation is my new normal. So let's play a game. Let's pretend that lockdown is now going to happen for at least 6 months. Let's just look at 6 months. Lockdown is going to be here for 6 months. And if you read some bits of the news and the media, that's sometimes what they're projecting. They're saying that without a vaccine, without herd immunity, without we're going down for a while. So for the purpose of this, let's play a game and say that lockdown is for the next 6 months. If you knew that, if that was a certainty right now in your life, which is what people are struggling with, we're struggling with uncertainty, what would you do? What would you? And I want you to change it. I want you to think about the new routine that you're going to have to adopt to keep you happy, how you're going to get food, order food, and keep good, healthy food in the cupboards. The routines that are going to keep you eating good, healthy food. So with your family, with yourself, how would you modify your exercise, and how would you modify your exercise for new goals? For many of us, our goals with health and fitness should probably be just to keep fit and healthy. So some of us, before this happened, might have been doing CrossFit or powerlifting or triathlon or loads of different stuff. The reality is that's not the norm anymore. Most of us, 98% of us, are not going to be able to do a lot of the old training that we used to do. So if we accept the new norm, what new goals can we create? For me, I'm just trying to keep happy and healthy. That's it. And I'm trying to maintain good body weight. So I'm getting out for an hour's walk a day with my wife and our daughter, and we just go in our local area, and I am lucky, I live rurally, so we can go on lots of nice walks and barely see anyone. So I get that some people are not in that situation, but we go for an hour's walk and it's lovely. We get time to talk and decompress. We don't take our phones with us, and we just chill. It's a lovely part of our day. And then about 3 or 4 times a week, I'm doing a 30-minute sort of hard training session if I can, and that's it. If I don't do it, I don't worry about it, because sometimes sleep can catch up on me with a new daughter, but I'm generally sleeping very well. And then I'm going to try and buy and I'm going to go out and do a little bit of cycling. But that's kind of my exercise, and actually I can do more than enough with that exercise time to keep happy and healthy. So I've accepted my new norm, which is working 4 days and then sleeping 7 to 8 hours a night, and the rest of the time spending it with my wife and our new daughter. That is more. So I'm accepting it 100%. Again, I don't know what's going to happen. We know what I want you to do is live in the present. Live with what you have. Live with the current situation. Live with the current family situation. Because for me, that's all we can do. And optimize that to be as healthy and to be as happy as humanly possible. I think that is the best strategy. Now, second to that, for me to do this, I've actually stopped watching the news apart from once per week. Once a week, I engage in a show which updates like all the world news, what's happening. It's very statistic and science led. And it kind of looks at like where we're at, what's happening. And I look at a couple of other news bits on my phone, and that's it. The reason why I've done that is because when the lockdown happened, like many of us, I started paying attention to everything and anything that was happening on the internet. And most of it was predicting the future, complaining about the present, or kind of just guessing what is going on. And the problem is it was really affecting my mental health. I was in a good place. And more than anything, it was just making my brain churn over and over and over. Like, oh, what about this? What about that? Oh, that's really bad. And that's the reality of the news. The news right now is picking up on all the horrible things that are happening, interspersed with some more positive stuff that is happening now. The guy that's raised £20 million walking, the old guy, like absolutely amazing. So some of that stuff is coming out now, but it's negative. So I've made the choice to not watch any news, watch it once a week, get fully updated, talk to anyone I need to, and then otherwise I've turned it off. It's not positively affecting me in any way. If you feel you can't do that, then that's absolutely fine, but I'm going to challenge you on it. I'm going to challenge you, like what would happen if you sort of turned off social media for a day and connected with the people that you care about and want to, turned off the news, like how would you feel? Just experiment, say, right, for the next 24 or the 48 hours, I'm not going to go on social media. See how you feel. So that's how I'm kind of protecting my mental well-being. My next key bit is the routine we have. If we accept the norm and we try and block out the news and the negativity that we're experiencing, what can be our new routine? So what time do you get up in the morning? What do you have to do with sort of friends or family or children? What's your new work pattern like? When should you go for a walk? When should you do some exercise? When should you engage in a hobby? When should you have some fun? When should you ring your mum or your dad or your sister or your brother or your, whatever? How do you organise some group fun? Like on Saturday night, one of our family members organised a pub quiz, and we all had a pub quiz and had a laugh, and it was nice to laugh and hang out, and actually it was really good fun. We didn't even think too much about not being in each other's company. So how do we create a routine that we can be happy with? Accept the new normal and create a routine with that. I'll give you an example. This is my new routine, and I know it'll probably be quite unique because I've got a newborn child, but I go to bed at 8 o'clock at night in my spare room. I read for half an hour and then I sleep until my wife wakes me up. So it depends on the feeding of our child. So I get up between 3 and 5 a.m. whenever my wife wakes me up, and that's my sleep, and it's unbroken. It's great. I then take the baby and I look after the baby while my wife sleeps. So that's kind of sleep routine to try and allow us both to get 7 hours of good quality sleep a night. I then work from 9 till 12 a day. I take 2 hours off to go for a long walk and have lunch with my wife. And then I work from 2 or 3 o'clock to 5 p.m. If I'm doing a workout, 30-minute workout, and then I'll cook dinner for my wife, and then we'll chill for like watch a bit of TV, maybe read a book, maybe I'll massage her feet, ring some friends and family. And that's my routine. Back in bed again at 8 p.m. at night. That's my routine. And I'm currently really happy with it. My wife's happy with it. We're getting plenty of sleep. We're feeling positive. Neither of us are watching the news that much. And I'm not saying that you should adopt anything that I'm doing. I just want to see what I'm doing and how it's benefiting my mental health. So all that I want you to do now is just look at the current situation, what you can control and implement in a positive routine. One thing I'm not getting at the moment is bored. A lot of people are saying they are getting bored. I have never resonated with this comment in my whole life. That's just me. It's because there's so much I want to do and learn in my life. If I didn't have our new girl, Ivy, I would still not be bored. Obviously, she's taken a fair amount of my time. I'd still not be bored. The reason is there's so many books I want to read. There's so many things I want to learn. I want to write my own book. I love art and crafts. I love walking. I love exercising. I love socializing. Like there's so many things that I want to do in my life I'm passionate about and that I want to just try or experience or learn, I literally never get bored. The moment I'm bored, I put on a podcast, I read a book, I talk to someone, I find an idea, I go and do a workout. Like, I literally can't get bored. I just don't even resonate with the term. So if you're getting bored, how can we fill your time? What hobby can you do? What book can you read? What online course can you learn? Who can you speak to? Like, if we're getting bored, what do you love? And fill that time with stuff that you love, or fill that time with the things that you. I wish I had time for that. Now, probably that time. Some of us don't have that time. Some of us have got kids at home, and actually we've got even less time than before. But for the people that do have more time on their hands and are getting bored, what can we fill that time with? One of the things I filled my time with, that I always, if I had more time, I'll learn about this. I've committed to learning about that thing, even though I find it a bit boring. And this is just a personal thing. I've been spending 30 minutes a day when I walk with Ivy at 6 o'clock in the morning. I take her for a walk at sunrise. And I put on a podcast that teaches me how to better manage my personal finances. And that's just because I'm pretty rubbish with money. I just have this sort of really pretty loose kind of perspective. I always have done. I've just sort of said, it's cool, money will always be there, like whatever. And even in times when I've not had any money, in 2017, I had a really rough year, nearly went bankrupt. Any of you that's listened to my podcast talked about that story quite a bit. But anyway, I'm too relaxed. It means that I don't save enough, I put enough away for holidays, all sorts of stuff. So I said, right, I'm going to sit down 30 minutes a day, podcast on. Well, I don't sit, I'll go for a walk, and I'm going to learn personal finances. And I'm really glad I'm doing it, because it is something that I have to do. And I've just used this lockdown environment to say, yep, I'm going to commit 30 minutes a day to that, because I know there's going to be a positive benefit from it. So with you and your situation, what could you do? What could you learn? How can we create an environment where you're engaged and you're interested? And remember, playing this game of the lockdown's going to be here for the next 6 months. So let's play this game. The future, let's accept that this new norm right now is our future. So after that, let's talk about our health and our fitness. Health comes from good sleep, good hydration, good nutrition. So are you getting to bed on time? Some of us are, a little bit kind of feeling in limbo. We're maybe dumping ourselves in front of the TV a little bit too much. Maybe we're getting too engrossed in the box sets. Do we need to stick to that routine and that habit? In your working day to day, which is not the norm anymore, you probably used to go at 10 to 11, whenever it was, because you had to get up at time for work. Now you're not commuting, now you're doing things. Have you let the bedtime routine slip? I haven't, because I really value my health and my performance the next day. So if you find you're staying up too late, you're watching TV, implement a new rule. Why would you implement a new rule? Because maybe you're fed up of feeling tired the next day. To have reasons to implement change. So that's the first thing. You have to ask, is your reason, is your driver enough for you to create the change that you want? If not, we've got to find that driver. So we need to go to bed on time. We need good quality sleep. It's the underpinning factor of performance and motivation. If you're feeling unmotivated and if you're not sleeping well, fixing your sleep, getting better quality sleep is a surefire way to become motivated very quickly. So let's fix. Second to that, are you planning your food? I don't know what your access to food is like right now. For some people, it's not as great as others, but for us, we have a Tesco supermarket that's not too far away, and a click and collect order every 9 to 10 days. So me and I sit down and we literally plan out everything. We say, what do we want for Monday lunchtime, Tuesday lunchtime, Wednesday, and we go through all the nice things that we want to cook. I cooked 3 new recipes last week, so we're using it as a time to actually engage in different foods. We're using it as a time to, get a bit creative in the kitchen. So sit down and make a plan. And if you're doing something like a click and collect order, a delivery, like, you can control all of that food intake. People are saying that we're snacking a lot. We're a bit bored and we're snacking. Well, we're still buying these snacks into the house. So for example, an order crisps, chocolate, biscuits, like all these foods that I quite might often snack on, but I don't. And that's a personal thing. I'm not judging you in the slightest. The food's going to be there. So if you're struggling with snacking and boredom, perhaps we should stop buying these foods. Maybe that's one strategy. But if we plan our food and we create a positive routine, you're very likely to stick to it. If you've got a routine and you buy the food and it's in your house, you're probably going to eat it. So for example, this is my current nutrition every day, pretty much. I get up at between 3 and 5. I then have a protein bar. I have about 50 to 60 grams of oats. And that mid-morning, I'll have usually like a piece of fruit and a very small handful of nuts, something like that. Then I'll have lunch with my wife. For example, today, I think we're cooking a burger on the barbecue because we're fortunate we've got a garden. For example, yesterday I had like tuna sweet corn with crackers, fruit. The day before that, I think we had like soup, cheese, and crackers. The day before that, we had roast leftovers because we cooked them the day before. So they're kind of my lunches. Then late afternoon, I might nibble on something, just like depends. Again, might be a fruit. Sometimes I'll have a packet of crisps. That's maybe only really the sort of snacky type foods I tend to eat. In terms of you might call sort of bad foods, however you want to label things, that's your choice. So I might have something like a packet, and then quite often doing a short 30-minute workout late afternoon, and then we'll cook dinner. And dinner has been things like we're whipping out the barbecue now and again. We've cooked dinner. We're also ordering 2 nights mindful chef box, so it comes in a box. You get the recipe and you make it all and stuff. And then we've cooked a mash. We've done fish with jacket potatoes and vegetables. So we're eating really well. I'm probably eating better than I ever have because we're deciding on the food we want. We're ordering it and we're cooking it. And it's as simple as that. I'm not snacking on what we call bad food because first and foremost, I'm not bored. Like I'm not engaged. People that are bored quite often look to snack. We look to occupy ourselves. And if you've got that habit of, oh, I'm bored, so I'll eat, then we need to maybe try and fix the boredom issues. It's not actually a problem with snacking. It's a problem of boredom, a lack of interest. When you get into something, you generally don't think about food. You don't think about other things. Like think about the last time you got really into a piece of work or you got so into a film or something. You didn't think about food for 2, 3, 4 hours because you're engaged, you're enjoying it, you're focused, you're kind of doubled down. So your mind doesn't wander to food. So actually keeping interested in the needs is super, super, super important. Now with the snacking, I personally have plenty of snacks in my house, like everyone, but probably pretty healthy stuff. And I do because I genuinely enjoy eating really healthy food. So snacks I'll quite often have in my house are, we do buy crisps, but we buy small bags, so you don't obviously eat too much. So they're like, the small 25-gram bags. I quite like popcorn. I like frozen pineapple, frozen peas, frozen mixed berries. I like bananas, carrots, apples, oranges as snacks. I like vegetables, pickled gherkins, pickled onions. I like mini Weetabix, like the little chocolate mini Weetabix. Sometimes I grab a little handful of them. And I've got a couple of like oat bars. I've also got protein bars. They're probably the extent of my snacks. And I quite often have 1 or 2 snacks a day, maybe like mid-morning, mid-afternoon. It depends on the size of my meal. And that's kind of it. So if you're finding yourself stress eating a lot at the moment, all the lockdown has done is magnified an existing problem. If your relationship with food is that you eat when you're stressed, what we need to do is we need to look at the connection between stress and eating. There's many different ways to deal with stress. Eating is one of them. Why do we eat? It gives us a sense of control. It gives us a sense of enjoyment. We go towards sometimes alcohol as well to help us manage this stress and feel in control. So when I sit down with my clients and I breach this problem, I quite often say, tell me what else you find stress relieving. Tell me what else makes you happy, puts a smile on your face. And people might list things like, oh, well, I love just being on my own and reading a book. or talking to someone. So I ring ex-friend or I ring my mum. I love playing Xbox because it just takes me away into a little world. I love watching TV. I love listening to it. I love dancing. I love doing my hobbies. Like, it doesn't matter whatever it is. But what we need to do is we need to create a conscious process that when we feel stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed, we don't have to turn to food instantly. We can turn to something else. So if I feel stressed or overwhelmed, I quite often go for a walk. I literally grab a walk and I'm like, right, we're going outside. For other people, it might be training this response. Right, I'm going to go and put on my favorite music out, or I'm going on that comedy always makes me laugh. I go and just pick up something and I'm going to do that I love. It's about creating a new habits that we actually choose, that when we're stressed, we go and get the hobby or get the thing, or we get the food. I'm not saying that we should never not have food, because sometimes that might feel like it's the solution. Alcohol might feel like it's the solution. But if we're doing that every time we're stressed, every time we're anxious, we've got to question the relationship we have with stress and how we rely on food to deal with it. There's many different ways to deal with stress. First and foremost, for me, it's about being really present with that stress. Too many people want to run away from problems. I tackle it straight on. Problems happen, right? What do? How do I deal with it? What solutions can I implement? Who do I need to talk to? What new coping mechanism or routine or just solution can I put in place? Running away from the stress will just leave it there longer. So this is why I'm talking about stress in its relationship to food, which a lot of people have. If we don't really address that relationship, it's going to keep happening. So I can talk about you being bored and trying to keep yourself engaged, but ultimately, if we don't address the potential of the problem, we never solve it long term. And long term, we just keep, bouncing between, being stressed and not eating well, or not being stressed and eating well. And we're yo-yoing with our diet because of this. So ultimately, there's got to be a point in time where we look to challenge ourselves and find a solution about our relationship and the stress that's in our lives. So when it comes to eating, I just want to really quickly recap. Planning and looking how and what food that you can get creative with recipes and start mixing things up. Potentially get lower calorie snacks in, so you can snack if you want, just on lower calorie stuff. Actually look at your snacking behavior, and while you're snacking, why is it? Get to the root cause of that. So that's with your food. Now let's talk about kind of fitness. Ideally, you want to get your fitness into as much of a routine as you used to have. So if you used to go to the gym every day routine, can we continue it? Can you do a workout at 5 o'clock in the afternoon? If that doesn't work for your new normal, then change the routine. So for example, to make it more fun, I'm now doing my workouts with my brother via WhatsApp video. And what we'll do is we'll create a 30-minute timer, and we'll be like, right, we're training upper body or lower body, and we'll basically say, boom, 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 this exercise, and we start the call, we both warm up. So I've got a stationary exercise bike, brother's got a small garden, so yesterday he was kicking all about as his warm up, and then as soon as we ring each other up, we're like, this is what we're doing, bang, 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 and we just go. We've got music on in the background and we just do it. It's a bit of fun. I'll suggest some exercises, he'll suggest some exercises, and we'll just do it. And we'll work hard, we'll work fast, we'll work for 30 minutes. And then neither of us want to deliberate on our workout and make it any longer than it has to be. So that's what we're doing. You might be part of an online class. You might use it as an opportunity to do something different. There's lots of different opportunities to do lots of different fitness, but we've got to engage in what we might want to do, and also accept the new normal. You might have been used to lifting heavy weights. I am. You might be doing, used to going and doing triathlon training. You might not be able to now. So it's about accepting the new norm and finding out what you can do. There's many ways to stress the body. We don't need weights to stress the body. Body weight training, for example, can be really advanced, like gymnast, or if you look at people that do calisthenics, They really know how to do advanced bodyweight training. Things like handstand walks, bear crawls, handstand holds, frog stances, manipulating tempo. It's one of the easiest ways to make exercise harder. So instead of doing a press up quickly, perhaps you can do the press up really slowly to the floor, pause for 2 seconds and explode up. Instantly, that makes an exercise harder. So as long as we sit down, ask ourselves what we want to do, what we can do, and create a routine around it, we can be really happy and healthy with our training. And if you're struggling with motivation, up a friend and say, hey, want to do some training? Or let's have a video call and let you just do it. And then why me and my brother do this. We just basically each other up and say, yeah, let's do it. We don't deliver, don't like say, oh, should we do this? Or I'm just going to go and make a coffee and all that stuff. We just literally ring each other up and say, ready to train, let's go. And we just do it. We just bash it out 30 minutes. But that's what's working for us. On the point of exercise and upping our overall energy expenditure, which people are struggling with, especially if you live like in a studio flat or you haven't got a lot of green space around you, how can we increase our energy expenditure? So one of the things I've been talking a little bit about with my clients is gamifying fitness, creating rules around your house to make fitness fun. And this is a perfect way to include your kids if you're spending a lot of time with them at the moment. So for example, we could do something with your stairs. Get a set of post-it notes or some paper, pen, blue tack, and write on this post-it note 10x, and then stick it on your staircase. And what this means is that every time you go upstairs or down your stairs, you've got to do it 10 times. So if you want to go upstairs to the toilet, you're only allowed to go to the toilet once you've gone up and down the stairs 10 times. So if you go to the toilet 10 times a day, that already means you're going to do 10 flights up and down the stairs, 100 flights up and down the stairs throughout the day. It might mean that we might be able to create another rule where every time you turn on the kettle, you've got to do max reps, weight squats while the kettle boils. So again, nice little bit of activity. Put a post-it note on the kettle and say, and you might make some fun with it. So I've got quite a crude sense of humor. I would write on the post-it note, squat bitch. And that's just because it would speak to my humor and it would make me think, all right, I'll squat then. That's just my humor and it's me having a little bit of fun with it. Another thing that you could do, it might be that to go to work, before you get to work, you've got to have done 100 lunges around your house. So work right now might be in your spare bedroom, or you might be using your son's bedroom or something like that. And you're like, right, I'm off to work. Got to do 100 lunges before, and then you're around your house. So there's nothing wrong with creating these little bits of gamification of the house. And if you can, involving your, otherwise it just, life is a case of getting up, sitting around in a different place, doing a 30-minute online workout, and then sitting around a little bit more. And if we can keep a bit more active, then brilliant. When I cook, I now listen to dance music mixes when I cook, and I'm literally dancing around the kitchen, like, cutting some vegetables, like mixing things up. And, if I do this for half an hour while doing some cooking, how much energy am I going to burn? I'm going to burn loads of energy. So with your fitness, what can we hack? What can we do? If you live rurally, obviously you can get out and go for a cycle, go for a run, all that kind of stuff. Not as easy or maybe not as nice in the city, but what can you do? And how can you create a routine around it? One thing people are saying to me at the moment about exercise and eating well is the motivation to exercise and eat well. Now, I firmly believe that if you accept the new norm, block out negativity, create a new routine, order good food into your house, plan fitness, and have an approach to life where you want to live your life every day, an awesome human being, and get as much out of your life as you possibly can in the most awesome way possible, then you'll be motivated to look after yourself, to eat well, to exercise. And that's mindset. My mindset is that when I wake up in the morning, I make the decision to live my best possible life in the present. And that means I choose to eat well because I want to look after my body, I want to look after my mind. That means I engage in some healthy exercise because it makes me feel good, makes me look good. I do have a routine around sleep because I want to feel good the next day. So I know that to feel good, I need a good 7 hours of sleep a night, ideally. I make time for work. I make time for my wife and family. I make time for all these things, and I cut up my day to get the most out of it. And I genuinely believe that if you bring those things into practice, and if you're struggling, wind back and listen to that. I genuinely believe if you get those factors right, are motivated. Because people look for motivation. But what we want to do is we want to remove the blockers that are stealing our motivation. So if I said to you, why are you motivated? And you said to me, because I'm feeling overwhelmed and uncertain about the future, my response would be, well, let's become uncertain about the future. And how would we do that? By accepting the present day, by accepting that this is the new reality for now. So when we look at something like motivation, ask ourselves, where is it gone? And then solve that problem. So many of the issues we have are a lot deeper than the surface level question we ask of someone like me. So snacking is a perfect example. Many people are asking me right now, Ben, I'm snacking too much, can you help? But my next question is, why are you snacking so much? Let's solve the snacking problem by getting to the root cause of the problem. And quite often that person's saying, I'm bored or I'm overwhelmed and unstressed. Once you go through those layers and find the real root cause of the problem, only then can you implement the solution. Because otherwise, I, as the nutritionist or any other probably personal trainer online, is just going to go, try to stop snacking on crisps and have a bit of fruit instead, or don't buy the food. But that doesn't solve the problem if you've got a stress relationship with food, like you use food to cope with stress, or you eat food when you're bored. That doesn't solve the problem. So when we have problems, which a lot of us are struggling with at the moment, there are things we're genuinely struggling with, get to the root cause of the problem. So I'm just going to take a little breather because I just want to look at the questions that people are asking. A lot of people are saying the tips around social media and distancing yourself from news is really helpful. A lot of people are saying, yes, my routine has slipped. The snacking is good. Someone said there's a lot of Easter egg chocolate in the house. So Easter was sort of between the lockdown. If it was me, I have control because I genuinely never choose to sort of actively overeat for an extended period of time because I've been obese in a former life and I didn't like it. So I have a lot of control around food. But when it comes to self-control, I genuinely believe that if you have a reason not to overeat, you won't. Like, there might be chocolate in front of me, but the reason I'm not going to eat it is it's not going to benefit my overall long-term health. So I don't want to wake up the next day and go, oh God, I ate all that chocolate. Like, I'm going to put on, however much weight. I have a lot of overwhelming reasons not to perform those actions. So when you don't have enough of a reason to engage in healthy exercise or change your routine or eat better, like, ask yourself why. Like, why do you not have that desire? How do we create a greater sense of self-worth? How do you create the desire that you want to eat well every day, that you want to engage in healthy exercise? Once we create those desires, the rest of this stuff can happen. Almost it becomes. Now on the topic, that kind of brings around the topic of alcohol, which is one of the things that I haven't covered yet. I personally drink probably at least 5 days a week, but I'm a beer a day kind of guy. Like, I really like really good, high quality craft beer like IPAs. I love sour beer. Also love a good glass of wine. And, I don't really do it to relax or decompress, I just literally love it. Yes, there's a nice relaxing element to alcohol. It, naturally calms us a little bit, but I just love the taste. I drink and that's why I don't spend a lot of money on alcohol. Like, I drink like really expensive alcohol. Like, I might have a can of beer that's like £3, but it's the only one I have. And I'd rather have one really nice can of beer rather than 4 cans of really crappy average lager. That's just my perspective. So I am a beer a day kind of guy, but I do it because I absolutely love it. It's an enjoyable part of my lifestyle, and 1, maybe 2 beers doesn't have a negative impact on my life. So if you find that you're having a bit too much at the moment, why is that? Are you using it as a coping mechanism? Are you using it because you've got there's root causes to these problems. So if you're sat around from 7 p.m. to 11 o'clock at night being drinking, there's probably other things that we could do. You could play a board game with your family members. You could ring some friends that you've never or haven't contacted for a while. You could play some Xbox. I've got an Xbox which I haven't played in years, and I've dusted it off and set it up properly, and I can't wait to play a bit more. Haven't really been able to have the time to do it yet because I'm really, really busy. There's other things to do, but you've got to make the decision to want to change that thing. The problem that you're facing right now, the thing that you're struggling with, are you willing and wanting to find a solution? Are you willing and wanting to accept and live in the present? Only then can we make appropriate amounts of change. Only then can we keep our motivation high. Only then can we need a healthy routine. Right, I think I've been through all the questions there. When it comes to anything more advanced, when it comes to anything that you feel that I haven't answered in this Q&A, this is also going up as a podcast. So go over to social media, find this video and answer. Keep asking questions and I will keep answering. I want to help as much as possible. I'm not trying to say that this lockdown is easy, that this situation is easy, but I choose to be immensely positive and optimistic about everything in my life because I make a choice that I want to live every day to its full potential. I am not going to waste any time being negative or not doing the best as I can with my life, even though I'm in lockdown. I can't leave my house. I'm going to choose to make everything as best as it humanly can. So don't live in what ifs. Don't say, oh, but I'm really missing the gym, or oh, I'm really missing these people. Like, let's do what we can. Accept the new norm and create a new routine. I did that in a flash of an eye. I knew that this was like the day that they were like, oh, lockdown's coming. I was planning straight away. It didn't come as a surprise. Friction. I was already ready. I'd already thought through my battle plan in my head and I just implemented it. Some of us have been slow to implement our new reality and our battle plan. And I'm going to challenge you to go away and accept your new reality and you battle every day to its fullest. That's me. If you want me on a more personal level or you want me to expand on this, then reach out to me or comment and I will get back to you. Have an awesome day. Goodbye.